We are starting section 1.4 today, and we're focusing on linear functions and slope. You'll notice a few things. The first is that this section does cover target 1.6. The other thing is really the main new things that you probably haven't learned in the past could be point slope form of a line and the general form of a line. Otherwise, the majority of this would be review for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to review is to calculate a line slope. Remember, slope, you can think of it a lot of different ways. You can think of it as the change in the y over the change in the x. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 would be the main formula. And also you have probably looked at this as saying rise over run. So a lot of different ways to think about slope. Also to review with you, a line going uphill from left to right is a positive slope, downhill is a negative slope. If the line is horizontal, it has a slope of 0, and if the line is vertical, it has a slope that's undefined. So let's go ahead and continue on. And the very first thing we'll do is just practice finding the slope of a line, passing through those 2 points. Why don't you go ahead and pause your video and just give this one a try. So either way you worked it out, you should have gotten an answer of -3 over 2 if you subtracted the first x from the second x or the second from the first. Either way you went about it, you should come up with the same solution. So moving forward, I would like to talk about point slope form, and this is something that might be new to you. Now, normally up until now we've always used slope-intercept form, and that gives us the slope and the y-intercept. Point slope form gives you the slope and a point. So the way that it works is if you're given a point, let's call it x1, y1, and a slope which we'll call m, then the equation of that line can be written in the form y minus your y value and m times x minus your x value. Now this can be really useful when you quickly want to write the equation of a line and you have the point and the slope. So let's go ahead and look at the example we're given. Write the point slope form of the equation of a line with a slope of -4 passing through 2, 5. So we're given the m value, we're given x1 and y1, and all we have to do is go ahead and put these into that equation. So we would say y minus 5 equals -4 times x minus 2. Now, looking at this, you're going to say, Mrs. Alberg, this does not look like the equation of a line. I'm used to seeing y equals something times x plus something else. You can use your basic algebra skills to turn that into that slope-intercept equation, but instead, in this case, we're going to leave it as this point slope form because that's what it's asking for. And the really great thing is looking at this, I can see that a point on that would be 5, 2, and the slope is -4. So let's go ahead and do the same question, or a similar question, I'm sorry. Once again, we're writing the point slope form of the line, given that equation passing through those 2 points. Now, the nice thing here is that really I'm given 2 points. I can use either one of them. The only thing I really need is the slope. So that's the first thing we're going to want to do is find the slope. So I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to say 0 minus 5 over -1 minus 2. And I end up with -5 over -3, which simplifies just to positive 5/3. From here, I'm going to write the point slope form, and I can use either of these 2 points. Now, personally, I'm going to use the -1, 0 because it's nice when one of the values is 0. It reduces a little bit more. So let's go ahead and plug it in. Remember, we're going to say y minus the y value, which in this case is 0, equals m 5/3 times x minus -1. And minusing a negative is going to make that a positive. Now, the point slope form in this case would just be y equals 5/3 times x plus 1, because y minus 0, that's just y. So it looks like we've taken care of the second part of the question that asks us to solve for y. If I wanted this in slope-intercept form, all I would have to do is distribute that 5/3, and then I'd have that answer as well. So this is point slope form. Again, it uses a point and it uses the slope. The next part of this video talks about slope-intercept form, and this is one of our targets, so graphing equations in slope-intercept form. So let's just take a quick review. Here's our equation, y equals negative 3x plus 5. It already is in slope-intercept form. Remember, those equations are in the form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So it looks like my y-intercept is 5. Let's go up to 5 and put a dot. My slope is negative 3, so we're going to go down 3 and run forward 1. And I have 2 points, and I could do it again if I wanted to. And we'll go ahead and grab our line tool, and we can draw that line in there. And now I have the line graphed. You can see it is a negative slope, so the line should be going downhill, which it is. Go ahead and pause your video and try graphing this one. Alright, hopefully your graph matches mine. You should have had an intercept of negative 3, and then, a b value of negative 3, your intercept, and then your slope was 1/2. So you should have raised 1 and run 2, and you'll get that line there. Reminder, graphing horizontal and vertical lines. An x equals line is going to be a vertical line, and a y equals line will be your horizontal. So for the first one, if I want to graph x equals 4, I'm just going to go to 4 and draw a vertical line there. Every x value on that line is 4. And y equals negative 2, we'll go to negative 2 and draw a horizontal line. And the same idea. Every y value on there is negative 2. Let's move ahead to general form. Now, we don't often use general form, so we're just going to touch on it very shortly so you've seen it, because it's not that useful to us. Slope-intercept form is great. It gives us the slope and the y-intercept. Point slope form is great. It gives us the slope and a point. General form doesn't really give us much, so we don't use it that often, but we do want to recognize it. So it's an equation written in the form as something x plus something times y plus c equals 0, and that's the general form of a line. So you can see that there's an equation here given, and that's the general form, and we want to find the slope and the y-intercept. Now, the easiest way to do this would be just to go ahead and solve for y. So let's take this equation and solve for y. I'm going to start by adding 10 to both sides. So we're going to have 2x plus 5y equals 10. I'm going to bring the 2x over to the other side. So we have 5y equals negative 2x plus 10. And lastly, I'm going to divide by 5. Now in that case, we'll divide both pieces by 5. So we get negative 2/5 x plus 2. So in this case, our m, our slope, would be negative 2/5, and our y-intercept b would be 2. So you can see we can take a line in general form and we can change it to slope-intercept form to give us the information we need. The last thing I want to review in this video is the graphing a line using the x and y intercepts. So when you're given a line in general form like the one shown here, to graph this you could solve for y and use your slope and your y-intercept. But another method to graph this would be to find the x and y-intercepts and plot those. So let's go ahead and try it that way. Remember, to find the x-intercept, we're going to make y equal to 0. So we're going to say x minus, now this is 4 times 0, which is just 0. And then we're going to subtract 8 from that. And so really, when we solve this and we're set that equal to 0, we're going to get x minus 8 equals 0. So x equals 8 would be our y-intercept. I'm sorry, our x-intercept. So let's go over to 8 on the x-axis, and we can put that point on there. To find the y-intercept, we're going to go the other way. We're going to make x 0, so we're going to have 0 minus 4y minus 8 equals 0. And we're going to solve for the y, so let's add 8 to the other side and divide by negative 4, and we end up with negative 2. So now we'll go to negative 2 and put a dot there. And I can then just connect those to get my line. And so you can see that it's another way to graph a line. Instead of using the slope and the y-intercept, you can also use the two intercepts. Just a really quick recap on those forms we've talked about. Let's just go over those really quickly one more time. We had 3 different forms for the equation of a line. The first was slope-intercept. We'll do slope-intercept form first. So we have slope-intercept. It's great because it gives us just what it says, the slope and the y-intercept. We have point-slope form. And that was the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And the last one is the general form. And that one was ax plus by plus c equals 0. And the a, b, and the c really don't stand for anything all that important. Now, like we said, the general form we're going to use the least. The point slope and the slope-intercept are our most important equation of a line. And in our next video, when we start talking about parallel and perpendicular lines, you're really going to see why I'm introducing this point-slope form. Why not just stick with our slope-intercept form that we've always known? Let's really quick also add to this list that the x equals a number is a vertical line, and y equals a number is a horizontal line. And it's a nice summary of what we've just talked about. I'm going to give you your 2 questions for your Google form. Here's your multiple choice question. You want to find the equation of the line in point-slope form. And your free response question, once again, find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Don't forget to put these in the Google Doc, and that's where we'll end today.